So now let's take a look at the roles and responsibilities of different organizations and how that plays a role in overall nuclear security. So obviously, the state has a role in nuclear security and nuclear security culture. The state defines the overall protection objectives. The state distributes responsibilities to other entities. The state provides all the protection of information. It's what determines what information would be classified, what information would not be classified. And oftentimes the state also projects information both to the facilities and the regulators as well as to the public. So the state provides projects that information. That projection of information impacts the culture and the belief systems of all those involved. Various organizations within the state also have responsibility. So those organizations might do things like produce the security policy for the facilities and organizations in charge of those facilities. It defines out the management structure. It provides resources to those facilities. And it might provide review and improvement of existing systems. So various organizations have responsibilities here where they would have to come in, look at various facilities and organizations and review what their policies and procedures are, and then determine whether or not additional policies and procedures are needed. Culture makes a big impact there as well. If the regulators and the higher-ups in organizations are coming into a facility and projecting to them how important security is to them, then the people at the facility are going to respond to that and say, my people above me believe that security is very important. It therefore must be very important to me as well because it could be a part of my potential future. And so those upper-level organizations have a large impact as well. Within that is the managers inside of those organizations. And of course, there's a definition of responsibilities for those, and they tend to be at the more practical level. So this is how do we to carry out our control practices for materials, equipment, and technology and information. They define out the qualifications and training structures for the personnel at various facilities. They also provide a lot of the hands-on motivation to the individual facilities. And, of course, they also do audit and review. So these are managers that will come in and look at what's going on within a facility, look at the practices and policies that are being conducted, review those, and just provide input on how to make changes. When they do those reviews and provide those inputs, if they're looking at it from a security standpoint, that will help impact the culture within the organization by putting a stamp on it and saying, we care about that culture. We want you to understand the importance of security to the overall structure of the facility. We want you to understand the importance of this facility to the overall structure of our organization and the continued management of our organization. And then, of course, there's the individuals at the facility, those individual workers. They obviously have responsibility associated with the actual conduct of operations at the facility. They're the ones who are moving the materials around. They're the ones who are entering that facility on a day-to-day basis. And so they have to have a strict and prudent approach on how they conduct their operations. They also have a very important job in vigilance and questioning. Let me explain what I mean by that. When they come to work every day, they need to be thinking about how do I impact the security at my facility. When I come to work every day and I have an employee who works with me or in my section, and I notice things about the behaviors of that employee. Maybe that employee is very depressed right now, or maybe the employees have some problems at home. Do I need to bring that up and tell that to the managers in the level above me? Do I need to provide that information? In many cases, the answer is yes. And you have to look at it not from the standpoint that you're turning in your fellow employee, but from the standpoint that what you're doing is providing for an overall security of the facility, which is an overall security of the individuals working in that facility as well. I'm looking out for the welfare of all of the facilities within or individuals working in the facility. That's an important part, to be vigilant about security, and that includes questioning the attitudes and behaviors of various employees within the facility, as well as vigilance against outsider threats. Whenever I see things, if I see a door propped open, or if I see a card reader that's not working, I have a responsibility to report that, not just to allow the security personnel to find it, but if I notice that, it's part of my job to report that information. And of course, that impacts the speed of reaction, that I as an employee, by providing that, let's take the case of I see a door propped open. If I, as an employee, can report that, that's going to be much faster than a security guard could ever find that. There's a limit to how many security guards are. They're a minority personnel within the overall system. Whereas all of the employees of the facility, they have a much stronger impact in terms of the speed of reaction as a detector within the system. So the key messages from this particular section is that the threat of malicious acts by insiders and outsiders is a credible and real threat. So let me describe what I mean by that. Insider and outsider threats both exist. They both historically have occurred. Insiders being individuals who are employed and work at a facility or who have access, authority, and knowledge over that facility. And they have, in the past, helped or in some cases attacked themselves those particular facilities. In many cases it's been over theft, not over sabotage or terrorist acts, but in some cases it has been over more malicious acts. And then outsider threats. The outsiders being the individuals coming from outside the facility and attacking that facility. Those could be criminal organizations, they could be terrorist organizations. That is a real and credible threat. They very much do exist, and they exist within almost every country on earth. The second key message is that good security culture requires commitment at an organization level, leadership from managers and regulators, and the engagement of all personnel. So the key there is that it's at all levels. You can't just go to one particular example. For instance, we could take the example of the Y-12 nuclear security lapse, in which the security guards had a major role in terms of their lapse in nuclear security culture. But you might also argue that that is only one portion of it. The managers at that facility also had a responsibility there. And did they have good nuclear security culture? I would argue probably not, since it was not being passed down to the guards as well. And even above that, the regulators and the U.S. Department of Energy, was their nuclear security culture at the level that it should be given their particular mission and given the facilities that they manage?